Hi, everybody. My name is Vicki,
Hi, everybody. I'm Donna, and it's your time.
and it is your time to put your feet up, get something to drink if you want, and just hopefully listen to an interesting conversation.
Well, they can listen, hopefully. And hopefully it will be an interesting conversation.
Hopefully it will. If it's
That's
not, then
good.
we just won't post it.
I like that. But I want to comment on your background. That is
Oh,
so cool. I love it.
oh,
So,
well, thank you. I wore blue, and it's like, okay, let's do that.
yeah, that's really cool. So, yeah. So, we met up with a bunch of Anne's Angels yesterday, and that was so fun in Tempe. And I then got a new necklace.
Yay.
And I got a lot of other stuff, but it's around behind me and stuff. But anyway, but they had an amethyst room, like one room that was full of geodes that are, this tall. And I don't know how I got out of there without buying one. So
By the way, this place was called every was it everything
everything
rocks?
rocks. Oh, that's
Everything Rocks, and it was in Tempe. And we're actually going to have the owner of the shop as an interview. So that's pretty exciting.
it's
We're
something more.
we're branching out.
Yes, we are. Yeah, so this is not one of Anne's Angels, but it's someone that we met because of Anne's Angels.
That's right.
That's gonna be
That's
fun.
right.
So everything, oh, what is the name of that's a good point. We got to figure that out.
Well,
So
you look it
anyway,
up while I take off and start talking.
yeah, we're just really with it today, guys. So
I know.
yeah.
So I had this idea to talk about judgment. It's a big subject, but it's something that all of us do all the time, and we don't even know that we're doing it. Half of it is conscious, half of it is unconscious. Half of it is stuff that comes from our parents, half of it stuff that comes from our schools, another half of it, because we can have as many halves as we want. Half of it comes from our peers, from our churches, from TV, from
It,
our media.
and it,
Everything
I'm sorry.
puts us into a judgment category. And I just kind of wanted to bring awareness to that.
I think a lot of it is taught to us, yes, but we also in our learning, we learn from resistance, we learn from negativity, really. So judgment is a polarity. So it's a negative polarity a lot of
Well,
times.
yeah.
So you're using judgment to learn. So yeah. So it's if you're using it that in a way that hurts people, that's what we're talking about. We want to learn how to not do that. So
Right. And I know, we judge people all the time for not being like us. A lot of people do. And my husband said, yes, but we use judgment to keep ourselves safe too.
yeah,
And yes, but maybe we can also change that judgment word out in those circumstances as our intuition.
no, that's a good
I
switch.
know. I liked that.
Yeah, that's good. And I think if it's a judgment where you're learning something, that it should be called that's your discernment. So it's
Yes.
not. So the word judgment to me would just be if you are, negatively judging. And we judge ourselves probably more than we judge other people.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, it's a tough one because I can't imagine that we will ever not have judgment, but it's the negative part. And I think
Right.
that's part of what is causing, probably mostly what is causing the polarities in America right now.
And, if we could look at judgment as instead of judging, give people the grace, give people the space to live their own lives and realize that they're not us. They don't have our experiences, they don't have our background, they don't have our parents. Everybody has their own filter that they see things through.
That's right. And everyone's
And
on their own path and
mhm,
working their lessons just like everyone else, So yeah. So, and there's this thing about with light workers, the word light to me, that's a judgment too. Like somebody said, I want to be a light worker and a shadow worker. Who was it? Robert Edward Grant. Because that we constantly do that, and that in itself is a judgment too. But the idea of that we're higher up or on a higher frequency, these words are judgments also, but
Hmm.
if that's of a good thing. So, and I guess that's just Earth. That's one of the Hermetic principles that we're going to do that. But let's
Well,
just try and use kindness
yeah,
to
but Earth itself is, a big old learning school, and it is one of the densest learning schools that there are, probably in the universe. That's what, everybody says anyway. But it's like, if you think about it, that there has to be a balance of everything. You have a balance of your light, you have a balance of your shadow, right? And we are both that. And with us going into a higher vibration, because the earth is going into a higher vibration with all of the solar storms and the magnetic storms coming through, it is actually um, filling our bodies with more light. And because of that, we want to be able to rise with the vibration. And when we are holding judgment, especially the negative kind of judgment, that keeps us down. And we have to realize that is not something that we have to take with us.
well, that's the idea. We really shouldn't. And actually, what's happening is going to stop us from taking it with us. So
Yes.
this is how people, they say they're having a bad day, or all these things are going wrong, or all these things are coming up from my elementary school days or whatever. These are things that I guess your higher self is saying, we're letting this go. And if you're not going to let it go and it's going to keep coming back, it's just going to get harder and harder. So just let it go. So it's like it's balancing things out. Your
Mm-hmm.
body is lighter. Even your frequency is going to be higher. Here I go again, higher frequency. But your frequency will be balancing out with what comes to you. This is going to be probably be more. So you have to be aware of, that's a good thing to be aware of, not being judgmental because of it, but look at it with discernment and think, I'm going to let this go.
Right.
You just have to let
And
it go.
yeah, and with the polarity that is going on, I do believe that everything works for the good. Everything works for the light. And there are people who did come down here to help bring that polarity into more of a focus, for us to realize, oh, well, I don't like that. I like this. Or I did like that, but now I'm not so sure.
Mhm.
So, we all come down to learn lessons and to give lessons. And so when you see someone that is really upsetting you, realize that in my mind, maybe they have a harder path, because they are here to teach us some things. And that's always difficult for
Well,
everyone involved.
it is. And, they're like sacrificing themselves to be the devil's advocate or,
Yeah,
whatever you want to
exactly.
call it at the time. And sometimes we are that in relationships also.
Yes.
The polar shift is there, polarity shift. But the when these lessons come to us, I'm getting to a point now where I don't, well, I can't say I never do because, I still get upset like a human. But, it's like if a lot of things come in a row, I think, okay, how am I bringing these to myself? And so I'm not judging myself at that moment, but when those things like build up, it's like you said, it's there for a reason. Resistance is a propellant to help us grow.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're letting go of all the crap so you can keep going
Mhm.
and grow. That's right.
And if things weren't bad, we would never change anything. We would never grow. You
Right.
know, crisis creates opportunity. Yin and yang.
Right.
And was it in Japanese? In every crisis there is an opportunity, something like that.
Yes.
And that is how we grow. if something is uncomfortable, we want to get out of it and we want to make it better. Because if things weren't uncomfortable, we would just sit here forever being happy.
That's right. Just or
and
unhappy
and
or
and
yeah.
being bored while you're being happy.
Right. That's the other thing that's something that a lot of light workers are saying. Like right now, I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting and I'm bored. There's nothing to do. I've already done well, you can never do all the work that you need to do. There's always going to be something new that comes up or something old that comes up in a new way that you still, because you're looking at it from a different perspective. But I was going to say about the judgment, I used the architect and I had put in a thing saying that this is something that I feel I really need to work on is being judgmental. And so it asked what give us an idea of what a scenario. And so I put one in, and it was that what they came back with was that you're looking at it from a higher perspective, and you do have to realize that they're on their path, yes, but they if they're annoying you, that you be able to use your voice to say it in a kind way. It's not that you don't just walk away and say, "Hey neighbor, you can play your music as loud as you want forever." You're not going to say that. You have to go and tell them, "Hey dude."
You have to put a boundary in.
And I'm saying, "Okay, but what I want to say is, dude, you are too loud. What are you, 14? You can't say that." So I'm like, that's why I don't say anything because I'm afraid that that's what's going to come out. And so Chat GPT actually said, you're not being judgmental. You are honoring your growth by seeing that this is a 3D thing or whatever you want to call it, whatever they called it. And once I read the thing and I felt it all really, it didn't really bother me until I could, like this morning, I was trying to meditate. I could feel it, the thumping, the bass thumping under my bed.
Oh.
So I was like, yeah, that's enough. I'm trying to meditate. This is my calm time, damn it. So yeah, so I went and opened the door and I was stuffed a recorder out there and I thought I can't see what he can see of my yard because he has like a I don't know thing up there. And I was taping it so that if I ever need it and if I'd heard him, I was gonna say, hello, but I didn't hear anything. So but he stopped. It was just it's like one song comes on and he turns it up and goes, oh, starts dancing around the house, I guess. I don't know. That's what I'm imagining. I don't know. But anyway, that's such first world problems that
it is.
so I've worked through so much stuff that's all that's left for me to work through. And they're saying I'm not being judgmental. That sounds judgmental. What about like, the some of the things that I see, like the Kardashian things and the housewives of whatever. And I see that and just shake my head and think we're doomed if people are still watching this stuff.
Well, I think that's nice. They're making money.
Okay, I will try and thank you. I
And and people want to watch that stuff. And as long as people want to watch that stuff, they're going to make money off of it. So, I don't care.
So that's our job is to raise our vibration, which then supposedly raises the vibration of everyone around you. And
we can hope.
yes, yes. Well, and it has. I've talked to him before. It's not a big deal, but that was just like my example for a Chat GPT because there are other things that I judge like that. But from person to person, I don't usually judge, but I do. I think I have an answer to something somebody said yesterday. I do see different levels, like levels of intelligence, but I don't look down on it. I just see that this person didn't have the opportunities that I did, but that's still a judgment if you're looking at someone else saying that they don't have as much education, and so you forgive what they say, so
Right.
that's still a judgment, I guess. I hadn't thought.
It kind of is.
Hmm.
It's if you can get to that neutral place, and just kind of say that is their path and that is who they are and
I
let it
say that
go.
too. I do say that too, but I also say the other, I am forgiving them because of where they are in their path.
But are you forgiving them because they've done something bad to you? Or are you
Oh,
forgiving them because they are who they are?
no, that's an interesting thought. It's just in trying to grow from how we make fun of people because I was around people that make fun of others and I didn't like it. But I found that I came away from that saying, what part did I have in that? Because I don't want to make fun of people. And so
Yeah.
and what I guess what I did was say it's not her fault. She is where she is in her path. So, I didn't make fun of it and I told them I didn't like that people were making fun of it. But here I am saying, well, she's less educated than me, so that's why, that's a judgment. That's a
Yeah,
judgment. And
it
we
is.
do it. We do it
It
all the
is.
time. Yeah.
And it's unconscious.
Well, now it's conscious.
Well, see, and that's what I want to do.
That's
It's
good.
like bring that unconscious to
Yeah.
the conscious.
Hmm. So what's your story then?
Well, well, I judge myself a lot. Of course, we all do. Um, it brought back a weird little memory, and it's more self-worth than it is judgment. However, when people don't act the way, and this goes back to like when I was 8 years old, when people don't act the way you want them to act, it just hurts your feelings. If like we moved when I was 8. We moved from Missouri to California. And I remember for some reason, I don't, of course, remember details because I don't, but I got my feelings hurt so badly because nobody seemed to care that I was not coming back to school.
Oh,
I know, but I judged myself. It's like, why don't they like me? And so, in a don't cry. I've gotten over it.
well, now I have to.
but
Oh,
but it was hard because it kind of instilled this thing. Is like, why don't people like me? Is anybody gonna like me? And it's self-judgment. it
yeah,
it
it is.
really kind of puts a crimp on your style, and you don't want to be your full authentic self, since we're all supposed to do that right now.
Right.
But yeah, I used to get my feelings hurt so much
Well,
because
that's being a sensitive
didn't
person.
yeah,
Being,
people did not act the way I wanted them to act.
yeah.
It's not that I'm sure they didn't say anything bad to me, but I just wasn't important in their lives. And maybe that's why I try and be important in people's lives now. I
That
don't know.
that is a hard lesson. I had that lesson and it comes back up every so often where I'm not going to tell the whole story, but
Oh, come on.
people that I love dearly that I worked for many years. And I thought that I was just a part of the family and a couple of the people still felt that way, but the rest of the family I realized was treating me as though I was like the maid or, you're just the babysitter, that kind of thing. And
Oh.
it that hurt. And I just went, okay, goodbye to all of them. I was done. And so every so often I'll go back and
You're
say,
you're you're gonna show them, aren't you?
yeah, and they didn't care because they didn't even email me like, where are you? What's going on? Nothing. And Christmas came, I got no, emails, no, and I just went, well, maybe they're just mad because you ghosted them. But I think of it every so often. Well, that was one thing when I went through my shaman training. That was something I had to work on, and I worked on that for a long time to let that go. I haven't totally let it go, obviously, because I'm bringing it back up here.
Yeah,
But
me too. Like,
but I'm
why don't
letting
you
it.
guys like me?
Yeah, right. It's the same kind of. I know that they liked me and they loved me, but did they only love me because I was good at my job? Is not that I because of who I am. Well, I wasn't showing them my authentic self. I didn't show anybody my authentic self back then. So that was the realization I came to is they don't know you. You didn't
Yeah.
let them know you. So they can't love you or not. So and that's how I, every when I think of it now, I do that They didn't even know who you are. You didn't even know who you were at the time.
It's funny. I went through a period in my life where um I met everybody that whoever I met, I was going to assume that they loved me. Whether they did or not, whether they knew me or not, I was going to assume that whenever I met somebody new, that they were going to automatically like me. And it worked for quite a while, I will
That's right.
say,
See,
because you go
self-worth.
in with that positive attitude
Yeah.
and you normally get positivity back.
Well, and you get out what you when you were thinking they don't like me, they may have liked you. You just didn't see it because you were thinking that they don't.
I was too much of a shy little girl, you know.
Well, yeah, aren't we all at some
Yeah, we are.
I'm
Yeah.
still a shy little girl sometimes. Not very often, but happens to us all. And I cover it up with humor. So, so it doesn't last long and that's what makes people like me, I guess. But and I only do that now, or not only. I still do that now as like a defense, like you said your husband was talking about as a defense, using humor as a defense so that people will not judge me. So I'm thinking they're going to judge me. I'm not judging me because I've never had a problem with that really. I mean, I judge myself about if I've hurt somebody, or I don't want people to think I'm crazy because I do my channeling, that sort of judgment I don't want. But, now I forgot what I was talking about. I said channel and they came in and everything's gone now. What was I talking about? Oh well. Anyway, move along.
Well,
Oh,
I remember my mom when she was alive, bless her heart. Um, and she was older, but she had an unkind word to say about somebody because of the way they looked. And and she like made a joke out of it. And I was shocked because that was my mother.
hmm,
Maybe I had never seen it before, or maybe it was just that she was getting old and she was not as filtered as she used to be. But it surprised me that, well, the older you get, the more vocal you become, and you
that's
don't
right.
filter yourself.
That's right. That's
And then going on the other side, if somebody hurts your feelings, they're probably, because I always give people the benefit of the doubt, they probably don't know that they're hurting your feelings.
I would think 90% of the
Yeah.
99% of the time they don't. And the
Yeah.
people that are wanting to hurt your feelings on purpose are people I wouldn't be around for
Yeah.
long.
They're not nice anyway.
Yeah. So, oh, that was what I was talking about, that I've always had a heavy duty self-worth that came partly because I was the youngest and the only girl, so my family built me up. When I
Oh,
went out into the world, that was a different story. And that's when I became the shy little girl, where the teachers would say, oh, she's so quiet. And my mom's like, are you talking about my daughter? You know.
it's because when you were at home, you were the only girl.
And
You
I
you
was,
had a special place in that family.
yes, yes. And I still do. I mean, all of us did. Each brother did too. But
Well, not as well. I'm just gonna say probably not as much because being the only girl or being the only boy in a family,
yeah, it's
the dynamics.
and it did bother me for a while. Not that I didn't have a sister, well, that too, but I've had many sisters. I have a sister now, so I'm
I
fine.
know.
But it was a lot on my shoulders to be the only girl too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, and you think you look at other girl, and well, here's the judgment. You look at other girls, and even my cousins. She's nicer than me. She's prettier than me. You could have had those, Dad. And you had me, and he was always. They always said the same thing, that they love me like I would say I don't want any other mom or dad. I love you, who you are, and I'm glad to be with you. And so they would turn it around on me and say that to me. And my dad always called me his loverly daughter because
Ah,
my grandma in her English accent would say loverly. And but I did judge that, and I did have that sitting on my shoulders for a long time, and it was, when my folks were older that I talked about that. My dad was just like, I never thought of it. I never would have thought that you would think of it because I've always been me with the family.
Right. But
So,
when you're out in the world, when you're out in school, you know, kids aren't nice.
no. No,
And
and they would categorize and they would say, well, so and so is the sniveler and he's the one who pees his pants, and Donna and Sharon are the brats. And I said, how am I a brat? And I looked at Sharon and I went, she's a brat. I'm like that. They were like, well, no, you're not quite as bad, but you're like that. Oh, that just totally turned me around.
yeah,
And that was okay. I mean, wasn't at the time, but that's okay for me to look. And, that's a comparison that helped me. That I was like, I don't want to look like that, So it made me think. I was like maybe 10 or 12, 10, 10. And I know I was going to say when you said that you had that issue when you were 8, when
mhm.
you were 7 or 8 is when your abstract thinking starts to kick in. So
Ah,
those things will come to you, and you may not know how to judge them or what to do with them when those thoughts come when you're at that age. Because before that, your brain isn't up to that. Your
right.
brain doesn't look at other things like that. So
And I did become a people pleaser, you know. I did very much want everyone to get along.
yeah.
I would I don't really know what I would do when I was a child at home because I know there was a it was okay childhood, but we had issues as all families have issues of some sort.
Well,
And I got to be the person who could make the peace. And I was used a couple times to do that, and it didn't end well
oh.
because you can't always make the peace.
Well, no, that's true. That was something my mom taught me that I think she saw that I was trying to do that. And in a lot of relationships now that I think about it, and we were in Illinois and got the Lincoln sticker that's, you can't please all the people all the time, and what I forget the whole quote. I'll have to look it up now. You can please all the people some of the time, that thing. And she would say that to me over and over and over. I just thought of that. So she could see that, I was trying to please everybody too. Well, but my dad was, God love him. I love my dad, and I wouldn't have any other dad. Okay, let's put it that way.
Okay.
But when he was in his 30s and 40s, he had a lot on his shoulders. I mean, he had 4 kids, and he was a musician. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom, so he had to make all the money and all. I mean, he loved doing it.
Was he a performing musician?
He was, and he was in
Wow.
in the Canadian Air Force band, and they toured the world, and so
And that was all he did
that
was
was what he did. Well, he did performances at night. So he would go to work during the day, although he could leave at 2 or 3, and come home and he'd practice there. And then he would go do, the symphony. He was in the symphony at Winnipeg Symphony. He was in other symphonies all over Canada, but when I'm thinking of it was in Winnipeg. And he would be gone. We would get into things for free because he was in the symphony. So I saw like Mary Martin doing Sound of Music, and I mean I saw all kinds of things, ice capades every year. But and people don't think of the behind the scene things, so I'd be telling everybody my dad had to wear 4 long johns because it was so cold on the ice to sit there and you're not moving and just play. He was in the little teeny symphony, so
so
he did a
so
lot of
he
that.
he played the flute.
He played the flute. He played the harp for a while in the air, but he transcribed music, and he made money with that too, I guess. He never recorded. I mean, we have recordings of him, but he didn't record anything that wasn't his own, and he really should have. It was when we moved to Michigan. I don't know who had said it, but somebody said he was one of the top 3 flautists in Canada, but he said like that's really something. Like what's that? But anyway, but he had a lot on his
Well,
shoulders.
he was judging himself.
He was, yeah, that too. Well, he was judging all of, he never liked the judgment. Like he never liked the hierarchy. He just did what he did, and he loved
Mhm.
doing it, and he was happy to do it. And I don't know everything that went on in his head. Obviously, I was a kid, but the idea being that he had a lot on his shoulders, and he was very controlling. But which is my mom wanted that. That's that they worked together really well with that. And I mean, there were times that he wanted her to have her own mind too. So, they had their issues too. But they loved each other. Their 75th
Oh, yes.
anniversary would have
Yes.
been a few months ago, July. Anyway, but he was very controlling, and being the only daughter, again, that was a big thing for me to I had to listen to I had to go by what my brothers wanted, what my mother wanted, what my father wanted, what the world wanted, and what I wanted was it
Didn't
didn't
matter.
match any of no. Well, it's not that it didn't matter. They wanted me to be myself. My dad always nurtured my creative side, being as creative as he was. He there's that's a whole other story. He really nurtured that a lot. My mom didn't, but I mean, she didn't. It wasn't a part of her life. For him, that was a big thing to him. For me, which is a good, that helped our relationship a lot. But anyway, just saying he was very controlling, so that helped me want being a Libra. I want to be a people pleaser anyway. So I really did it a lot. And I think my mom saw, and not as in a jealous way. I'm sure there were little jealousies, parents always have that over kids when they're, mad at the other parent for why did you yell at him, things like that. But they always got along really well with that. But anyway, my point being, I forget now. I made the point. I made the point 2 sentences ago.
Time
Yeah, right. Exactly.
out.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, when I get my software, I can cut this stuff out. But I have to know what time it is when it happens, and it doesn't say.
Yeah. Well, I was when I don't exactly remember what made me want to talk about judgment, but it's like, it's because we are going to be going through this ascension process because of the energies and you know things are going to start happening in 5 years. So we have
Things are
5.
happening now.
Well, yes, but I'm saying it's going to continue for the next,
Yeah.
5 years. And whenever something happens at the end of those 5 years or 10 years, we want to be ready. We
Right.
don't want it to come as a shock. So I think that the more we can be aware of things that we hold that we can let go of, the better for us. I know when like when these solar flares come and the storms come, it's like it really messes up my stomach if I don't take care of things. Like
Oh, wow.
if I if I don't eat decently, and sometimes it'll just really mess me up.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking, for other people, they everyone processes stuff differently. But one of the things that can weight us down, the energies that can weight us down, is judgment. And that's a pretty, I'm not going to say it's an easy thing, because since we all do it unconsciously, but it's something to be aware of. That is something that we can work on. We can look at things in a different lens. We
Hmm.
can see that people have their roles to play. We didn't all come down to be light workers. Some of us came down to help light workers shine,
And
because
be the
it's,
sacrificial lamb.
yes,
Yeah, that's
yes.
true. And also like that happens with people in our lives too, where we make a pact or whatever contract before we come.
Mm-hmm.
Say, in this relationship, I'll be the one who's, the bad guy, just so you can learn maybe in another life it was the other way around. These are things that we contemplate. I don't know that this is true, but everybody's talking about it, so I feel like it's true with some
Mm-hmm.
people. Like somebody you meet and you say, oh, I know you from somewhere, and then something happens and then they're not in your life anymore. You figure, well, that's why they were here. So, but what I want to say about judgment is, as we are on Earth, it is a part of Earth. It is a part of the laws of the universe. I mean, or Earth. You can't not be. judgmental at some time. But what we need to do is discern whether it's, and to see it when it happens so that it doesn't bring more negativity into us. Like the more that you think about something, what you think about, where you put your energies, that's what's coming back to you. So
Exactly.
if you realize, if you say, you look, I don't do this because I don't care what people wear really, but say you look at somebody and go, oh my God, she's wearing that dress again. Like my mom's people used to say stuff like that. And in church, yeah,
Yeah.
let's go to church so we can talk about
There you
everybody.
go.
Yeah, talk about judgmental. But anyway, but so if you find yourself doing that, and like when I hear a commercial and I can't stand the way they talk, I can't even understand what they're saying. I have to find a way to turn that into something else. Turn it into, this is young speak. You're old, get used to it. Something,
Uh-huh.
something that's gonna and make me laugh and lighten myself because I'm pulling myself down when I get into that
Right.
you know, that WTF.
Yeah. Drivers, it's very easy to be judgmental with
Yes.
drivers.
Yes.
And actually, my husband's getting a lot better than he used to be because, it's like when people don't drive like you drive, there's something wrong with them. Or I just like to say, well, they're just late for work.
Well,
Just
I've changed saying you should have left the house 10 minutes earlier to I will let you go because
there
I'm
you
not in a
go.
hurry. So I will let you, whatever your story is, I don't care. I will let you go. But if somebody makes me mad, I think I've told you this one before, like driving, like I'll be like, okay, peace, 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 until I can really feel peaceful. Like keep
Yeah.
your eyes on the road, of course, but
Yeah. Don't go into a meditative state or
yeah,
anything.
right. No, don't go that far. But yeah, or you can ask your angels. I always ask angels when I leave, thank you so much for taking me to this wonderful place and getting me home safely. And,
Yes.
wonderful things in between.
I have a little angel from my hanging off of my rearview mirror, and and it can swing around because when I turn and stuff, it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
oh, and it always reminds me to thank them, thank my team, thank the Lord, thank the universe for getting me to my
Safely.
destination and
Yeah,
back,
yeah.
safely, and
Yeah.
everybody on the road and all that stuff that you can think about.
Well, and if you want to really go further, I've tried to understand this. Dolores Cannon talks about the fact that, and they talk about the fact that we make our universe. Like when you leave your house, it doesn't stay here, it's gone. And
That is the weirdest
I
thing.
don't understand it, but I've tried to, I still keep trying to understand. I've read her books a couple times. I keep trying to understand. Anyway, but the idea that when so a couple of times when I've gotten out on the road, I've said, okay, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to be the only one on the road, and all the lights are going to be green. And if anybody gets in the way, there's a reason. This is set it all. And I usually in Tucson, you sit at lights for 2 minutes. I mean, they're the longest lights in any city I've ever been in that I ever knew of. Even like Tempe is not nowhere near as long as Tucson. I don't know why they do it, but the lights are going to be green. Well, I've said that before, where the light will be green when I get to it, and that worked. But this one, I should do this more often. This one time I said I have to be there 5 minutes ago, so I need you guys to help me get me there. No one else will be in, and I did. I went right straight through, and when I pulled up at the place, I was there 5 minutes ago.
It is amazing how stuff like that can happen.
It does happen. But you just go, thank you. I don't know how it happened. I just,
So,
thank you.
so just to let you know, you can do this at home.
Yes, you can do this at home.
Yes. When you're going to be late for something, when you have to have something, just let this go the easiest way possible. Put that out there. You know, thank the universe for working with you and see how it goes.
I do that. And Dr. Joe Dispenza was the first one who talked about that when I saw him on What the Bleep Do We Know? And he said he sets up his day. And that was when I said the first time I said, well, okay, when the train comes, there's going to be a seat for me. And I just started doing that every time because then there was. So, and so I told a friend about that. Well, she drives a car in Manhattan streets. And she said, well,
Mhm.
okay. She was pulled up around the corner. She said, okay, I'm going to find a parking place right in front of the store. She pulled up. There was a parking place right. She came in, Donna, you won't believe it. Oh, I believe it. I believe it. So I've been passing this on to everybody that you have more power than you know.
Mhm.
I mean, not power like, oh, I'm an Avenger
Well,
or any
no, but
kind of thing, but
yeah, what you think can come true, if you
yes, it
put the
can.
right energy behind it, I guess.
That's right. So let's not use that energy to be judgmental. And if we are,
Okay.
there's a really good segue
I
there.
know. Thank you for bringing that back.
So eloquently, yes. But anyway, and as far as being judgmental, like I was saying, you can't not be, but let's just
No, but
time.
you can work on it.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
can
yeah.
work on it and you can be aware of it and realize that it is not something that is in your best interest for the most part
Right.
to be judgmental of other people. I like to, we all came down to experience something different,
That's very true.
and it all just goes back to the whole in one way or another. My journey is not your journey, it's not, somebody else's journey. It's like we all came down to live a different life.
Yes, that we are all different. We're all here to give our flavor
Yes,
to everybody's life, whoever we touch.
yes.
Oh yeah, that's so cool. Well, this turned out well. I wasn't
Yeah.
sure how it was going to go.
Donna didn't think that she'd have anything to
Yeah.
say.
Oh, no, I didn't say that.
I don't know what I'm going to say, but you'll think of something. You'll
Yeah,
think of
exactly. That I said I don't know what I'm going to say. I didn't say I had nothing to say.
something.
I don't think there's ever been a time when I had nothing to say. So.
But thank you guys for, if you're still here, for sticking
Yes, if
with
you're
us.
still here all the way through
Hope you
this.
found it interesting.
Yes. And thank you, Vicki, for updating Zoom so that we
Oh,
can do
that's right.
longer than 40 minutes. I don't know how long we've been doing this, but it's a good thing.
I
So
bought the Zoom package.
yay. And I bought some editing software, so we're gonna start looking snappier.
Snappier.
Snappy.
Okay. Well,
Snappy.
thank you guys. I so appreciate you being here.
Thank you, everyone.
And we will be back later. And it is your time for now, getting up off the couch and maybe go in the bathroom if you need to. Just putting
You're
it out
killing
there.
me. You're killing me. That's a good one. I have no reply to that. Thank you. Love to everyone. Bye.
Bye.